And the lights of downtown Boston, the scene as we welcome you back. The stories here, Danny Granger hitting a ton today.
You know, he spoils us with his performances game in and game out. And so far, just another big scoring night for him.
Typically, when he puts up that many points in the first half, he's going to follow it up with a better second half. We'll see if that happens here.
And so it's Indiana with it. Their biggest lead of the game was 21. Last time they met was in Indiana.
Well, they rolled in that game, and it was mostly due to the big rebounding advantage.
We've got a moment. Let's set the floor. Brought to you by Gatorade, all fueled up for the second half. On the court for Indiana. Down low, Weston Hibbert. George and Granger on the perimeter. And it's Calderon in at the point. Rondo passes to Thunder. Humphries with a screen on George. On the pass to Thunder. This ball booted by Boston. Like it's 6. Batum against Granger. And the shot is good. 6 points for Nicholas Batum. Steve just mentioned their rebounding edge in that last game, Clark, and it really was a big one.
Kevin, I mean, they were in complete control of the boards, and there's no question that was the overriding factor in the game.
West, defended by Ibaka. Granger against Ibaka. Granger dishes to Calderon. They get the rebound. Hibbert. They shoot again, and that's 2 points on the layup. Hibbert's got 8 points.
Well, something special about him, guys, is just how good he is at winning the so-called second shot game, going hard to the offensive glass, salvaging points with his putbacks.
And something else he does that might not wind up in the stat sheet, but is still a big part of his game, is leadership defensively. Collectively, they're a much better team when he's on the floor. You know, a lot has been said about the Pacers and their defense, but in addition to them being great with their positioning and skill, they're one of the toughest and most rugged teams to deal with, both mentally and physically. They really pride themselves on playing smash mouth basketball and don't hesitate to get into your airspace and get in your face. It's been a good night for Roy Hibbert. He's got 8 points, and he's added a steal to his stat line also.
Well, that's obviously not a big number, but he's been doing some valuable defensive work for him.
And Clark, back to what you said, the Pacers did get in a few games last year where tempers flared and players got in each other's faces. But, you know, Steve, you look back at all the great defensive teams in NBA history, and not a lot of them were a group of amicable guys.
It's true. I mean, this is a great defense, and sometimes you have to ruffle feathers and get in people's faces in terms of being tough and gritty defensively. I think the Pacers understood that.
They get it back. Granger misses.
He's tried to get it going, but the shots just have not dropped for him today.
Back to Batum. Passes to Thunder. Puts up a 3. Some solid D from Jose Calderon.
He has not been on his game, and you know their deficit isn't totally on him, but he has not helped the situation.
Rondo passes to Thunder. Outside for Rondo. And out of bounds as the Pacers gain possession.
Here's a look at some stats for Serge Ibaka. He's been a standout for them the past few weeks. The numbers show it. 10th in blocks, 12th in shooting percentage, and of course he's in the top 15 in rebounding, so a very strong presence in the paint.
You know, Steve, he's doing what very few players in the league are really capable of, and that's impacting games through his low-post defensive presence. And he's one of the best shot blockers in the game in terms of his ranking, so no surprise.
Clock keeps going. 3 minutes into the second half now. And George kicks to Calderon. Shot clock at 6. And it's George finishing it off.
That's the epitome of teamwork right there, Kevin, on the alley-oop.
Clark, what about the finish? Bringing it down with some thunder.
Yeah, lightning, too.
But I'll tell you, the pass was even better. He put it on an absolute platter for
West against Ibaka. They set the screen. And they'll turn it over. Could not get off a shot. 24-second violation. And we'll take a look here at a very skilled bunch of point guards at the stripe. Look at the numbers they've put up over the last 10 games. You take a look at Calder, one of the league's best, third in free throw percentage.
Well, if these guys can get to the line, there's not much question what the outcome is going to be. So it sort of prevents the defense from being as aggressive as they'd like to be against them.
That's exactly right. I mean, you'd rather dare them to make a shot than risk sending them to the stripe. That's almost 3 points for them. At least there's a chance they'll miss from the floor.
Kicks to West.
Hey, who's laughing now?
There's the dish to George. Offline with his three. Boston's gone 0-2 from deep to start things here in the second half.
Well, it's not often you find a player like Paul George who, as tall as he is, can play two guard. But when you do, you're going to see some really big numbers in rebounding from him. And that's what George does. He wants to average double-digit rebounds.
Pacers leading by 21. Here's Calderon. He has 5. Kicks it out to Granger. Look, you mentioned the height of Paul George. 6'8", who was drafted. He actually grew to 6'10" in his rookie season, Steve. So he's a young guy that's continuing to grow both on the floor and physically.
Yeah, he may be 7'2" by his fourth year. I'll tell you, though, he gives you power forward size and rebounding with guard skills. It's easy to see why the Pacers are so excited about it.
Does he remind you of anybody in particular?
A bit like Scottie Pippen, early in his career. Maybe not quite as strong as Scottie, but with a similar skill set.
It's been a tale of two halves. Our guys, he was on fire from long range in the first half, but not so much here in the second.
Back to Batum. Outside Rondo. And 2 free throws coming up as he misses that one. Drawing the whistle on a lot of contact there. Roy Hibbert picks one up.
Before his injury last season, it was quite clear that while the rest of the Celtics bunch could still hold their own, this would no doubt be Rondo's team moving forward.
And he makes the first. And for Rondo and the Celtics, they'd actually explored trading him in the past. You always hear the rumors he butted heads with Doc Rivers, and they wondered if he was too individualistic. But now they hand him the keys.
Well, he's a tremendous player, Rondo, and a guy who can take over a game. And there have been times when he's been a little moody. We've seen him bump officials. He's gotten suspended. He's gotten into little tiffs with teammates. But I kind of like that feistiness, too, as long as it's channeled in the right way.
Another miss by Granger.
He's been wayward and just off on about everything he's put up in this period.
And it's Rondo penetrating. Here's Thunder. He's got 15. 3-pointer, Bogans. That is good.
This looks like a pregame shoot-around with all the threes they're allowing.
Yeah, I don't know, Clark. I think there might be even more defense in warm-ups. I mean, this is kind of embarrassing.
And here's Stevenson. He's got 5. There's the feed to Scola. Tipped away. Here's Thunder. 3-pointer. Rejected by Copeland. Now, here's Stevenson. Defense is right there. No coverage. That's 6 points for Johnson. How about you take guys on the hustle sticks for the Pacers?
Now we've seen them make that extra effort rotating from the weak side, closing out on their airspace, sending shots back.
Something that's also benefited them tonight are the turnovers they forced and the points that have come along with those forced turnovers.
Pass dishes to Fisher. Down to 5 on the shot clock. The Celtics need to get a shot off. The Pacers pull it in. The biggest lead of the game was 24 points. Looking ahead, they've got the Jazz coming into town for the next game. That'll be the first of 2 straight at home. Feeds to Stevenson. Pass to Scola. Granger, right side. Blanketed by the D. He fights to the rim for the layup. Granger's got 14. Celtics trail by 20. And Fisher kicks to Lee. He dishes it to Fisher. It's the jumper. Fisher's got his first basket of the night. Now here's Johnson. He's got 6. Pass to Stevenson. Six on the shot clock. It's George on the wing. Let's go. Can't get it to go. And it's Boston the other way. Puts it up from 17. That one wide left.
And it is very dangerous to leave him open like that. Lucky break for the defense that he missed it.
Johnson. And lots of contact there. Missing the shot. He'll shoot 2. And this is what the schedule looks like for the Boston Celtics. Following this one, they get to host the Warriors. And that'll be the middle game of their 5 and their longest homestand of the year. The Pacers shooting their 5th and 6 free throws of the game. That free throw, no good. Jose Calderon is checked in for Danny Granger.